Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, where today I'm going to be talking about some future Tier 6 jet editions for Japan and Italy that I personally am looking forward to. Now, as I said, these are the aircraft that I am personally looking forward to. If you do have any other aircraft that you are looking forward to, do feel free to let me know in the comments and we can discuss that in the comment section. I will not actually be including more modern aircraft or sort of just higher performing aircraft such as the Tornado or the Typhoon for Italy or the F-15 or the F-16 when it comes to Japan. Main reason being that these aircraft, at least I don't think they'll be added in the sort of near future for War Thunder, so I'm leaving them out for now, but if we do get to a point where they are going to be added, it is definitely something that will be worth talking about at that time. Last thing to say is just that if you do notice any major mistake in the statistics that I bring up, do let me know. I am going to be keeping it fairly brief. I'm only really going to be talking about the maximum speed, the rate of climb, and the weapon payload options for each aircraft. But if you do notice an issue with that, please do let me know, just so that I can correct that in a pinned comment or something like that. Anyway though, with that all said, let's get into our first nation, Japan. Okay, so getting right in with Japan, the Mitsubishi F1. This is actually Japan's first home-built supersonic fighter aircraft with a maximum speed of 1,700 kilometers an hour. That is about 1,056 miles an hour. So that's about Mach 1.2 to Mach 1.3. So not too bad there in terms of top speed. That's actually at an altitude of 11,000 meters or 36,000 feet. And looking at that speed and looking at the rate of climb of 118 meters per second, this aircraft could certainly be added right now and wouldn't be overly overpowered in my opinion. Similar performance in terms of climb rate and speed to the MiG-19. The MiG-19 actually outperforms this, so I really see no issue with this being added now. Now, in terms of secondary armament, you have various bombs, air-to-air missiles, air-to-surface missiles, rocket pods, and these are actually on 4 underwing hardpoints, 2 wingtip hardpoints, and then a single under fuselage pylon. But that is not all of the armament we have to talk about. This aircraft also had a fixed 20mm Vulcan cannon, a Japanese modification of the standard American 6-barrel Gatling gun. So this was the JM61A1. So rather interesting gun here, 20mm Vulcan cannon. We've seen similar things, for example, the 20mm Gatling gun that can be mounted on the AH-1G in helicopter combat. So we have seen these kind of guns before, so all of the things on this aircraft would certainly make it possible to be added right now, and I do feel this will likely be one of the early sort of Tier 6 aircraft we see for the Japanese aviation tech tree. Now moving on to the F4EJ. This is actually a Japanese variant of the fairly well-known F4E Phantom, and this variant is rather interesting. The original 2 prototypes for the J variant of the E variant of the Phantom were built by McDonnell Douglas in the United States, and then all future F4EJs were built in Japan by Mitsubishi. So it's not designed in Japan, but it was built in Japan, so it is effectively a Japanese Phantom. Now, this aircraft has some pretty interesting stats. Maximum speed of Mach 2.3, this is 1,473 miles per hour, and if you want that in kilometers now, it's basically just 2,370, and that is at an altitude of 40,000 feet or 12,000 meters. So high altitude, Mach 2.3, not too bad overall there. Pretty decent speed. Rate of climb, 210 meters per second. That's 41,000 feet per minute. So that is a pretty quick rate of climb, especially looking at stuff we currently have in game. This is worlds away. This is a lot faster than any aircraft we currently have in game. In terms of weaponry, this can mount a rather powerful, again, the 20mm Vulcan cannon. This is an M61A1, not the JM61A1. This is not the Japanese version. This has the standard American version of the gun, and this has 640 rounds of ammunition. Unlike the early variants of the Phantom, the EJ variant does have a built-in gun. This 20mm Gatling gun is actually built in and is mounted under the nose in the aircraft. Other than the gun though, this aircraft can carry up to 18,650 pounds of weapons on 9 external hardpoints. This ranges from general purpose bombs, guided bombs, cluster bombs, guided missiles, that's air-to-air and air-to-ground, just a ton of random stuff. So, you know, the F4 Phantom in War Thunder, when it probably will be added, when it is eventually added, will really be just a master of ground attack, air-to-air, at least for a time after it's added. So definitely huge amount of payload options here, good top speed, great climb rate. This aircraft is going to be a very nice thing for Japan to have. So now on to the last Japanese aircraft to talk about that I am really looking forward to, this being the F104J. Now, what is the F104J? Well, it's basically just an F104G, but it's an export variant that was sold to Japan, therefore it has the J designation, standing for Japan. Now, in terms of performance, max speed, Mach 2 on the dot. This is at altitude, of course, not at sea level, and that is about 1,500 miles an hour, or 2,450 kilometers per hour. Rate of climb of 240 meters per second initially, so it could actually do better than that. This thing is basically just a rocket ship. It will climb incredibly fast, which is definitely what this thing was designed for, originally developed as an interceptor to chase down Soviet bombers, get up quickly, shoot something down, and then get back down to land. In terms of weaponry, this has a single 20mm Vulcan Gatling gun, 6 barrels. This is the M61A1 cannon, same gun, mounted in both the other aircraft we've spoken about already, only the Mitsubishi F1's gun was a Japanese version of the gun. This has actually got 725 rounds of ammunition. That is more than on the Phantom, so pretty decent. 7 hard points, capacity of up to 4,000 pounds of provisions. Mostly you're just going to have those 4 A9 Sidewinders. This could also carry bombs, rockets or other stores, but Japan didn't really use this with those other weapons. For the most part though, the F104 with Japan was just used as a fighter interceptor, the role that the aircraft was originally designed for. Anyway though, now that we've spoken about these aircraft that Japan could have, let's move on to Italy. So the first Italian aircraft I have on my list is the Italia F104S Starfighter. Now this variant is arguably the best version of the Starfighter ever produced, able to hit a maximum speed at altitude of Mach 2.2, that is 2,330 kilometers per hour, at 11,000 meters or 36,000 feet of altitude. Pretty decent top speed there, quite a decent margin faster than previous variants of the F104 we've looked at. And in terms of rate of climb, quite a bit more there as well, 277 meters per second, compared to the previous Starfighter, which had 240 meters per second. So a decent increase in rate of climb there that we can sort of use to compare. This is a version of the Starfighter that I think might come a bit later than the initial variants we'll see added, but nonetheless it is an interesting aircraft to talk about. Fixed armament, again, we have that 20mm Vulcan Gatling gun, the M61A1, with 725 rounds of ammunition. This could carry AIM-9 Sidewinders, but could also carry AIM-7 Sparrows. Now, in terms of other armament, you could carry bombs on all of the pylons apart from the wingtip pylons, and it was also able to carry napalm bombs, but of course we don't have napalm in the game, so that's not really worth talking about. Nonetheless though, a very high performing aircraft there that I would be very excited to see added to the Italian aviation tech tree at some point, and definitely an aircraft that I think will stand up against most other competition fairly strongly. So this next aircraft is not actually fully Italian. This was actually built in collaboration with Brazil. So this is the AMX, also known as the A11 Ghibli, and this would actually most likely fit Tier 5 rather than Tier 6. Although it is an aircraft that I think is pretty cool looking, and I thought I would just sort of include it in the video anyway, as it is something we are likely to see. So a maximum speed of this aircraft is 1,053 kilometers per hour, or 654 miles an hour, at an altitude of 10,000 feet. Not so fast when compared to other Tier 6s. Rate of climb, 52 meters per second. Not bad when compared to Tier 5s, but again, when compared to Tier 6 supersonics, it lacks quite a bit. Although when you start looking at the weaponry options, it does really come into the light that this may actually be a fairly competitive aircraft. First off, we again have the M61A1 6-barrel Vulcan Gatling gun, of course 20mm caliber, so that gun, very common with these Italian aircraft, so that likely has the same amount of rounds as the Starfighter 725, although I'm not entirely sure on that, so if you do have any clarification on that, please do let me know. In terms of weaponry, 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders, and then it also has 5 external hardpoints that I believe mount separate ordnance, which can range from unguided rocket pods, bombs, air-to-surface missiles, those sort of things. Fairly basic armaments, but nonetheless, sort of a strike fighter, fairly basic stuff, a move along, I think, from the G91. It is basically a more modern G91. And talking of the G91, we're now going to move on to the final aircraft of this video, the G91Y. This aircraft, again, could possibly suit Tier 5 better than Tier 6, but nonetheless the speed isn't actually too bad compared to, for example, the Javelin. It's got better top speed than the Javelin, so there isn't really any specific reason why this couldn't be put at Tier 6. Anyway though, maximum speed 1,110 kilometers an hour or 690 miles per hour. That's Mach 0.95 at 10,000 meters of altitude. So not supersonic, but it is getting there. Rate of climb 86 meters per second. So really not too bad, to be honest. That's a pretty decent rate of climb. So you know, it could fit either Tier 5 or 6. In terms of weaponry, you do have fixed guns. This time, not the Vulcan Gatling gun. Instead, you have two 30mm DIFA cannons, which, you know, rather powerful guns. We've seen them before on multiple aircraft in-game, I believe, so pretty decent armament there. And in terms of sort of secondary payload, you have 4 hardpoints under the wings. These can carry a range of unguided ordnances, bombs, rockets, those sort of things, as well as Sidewinder air-to-air missiles. So generally an aircraft with a very wide range of options there, a lot of very useful ordnance, bombs, rockets, as we've seen with the standard G91R and the G91 Pre-Series in-game. They're very good in tank RB using rocket pods and bombs and those sort of things. Having basically a G91 that's a bit faster, better climb rate with Sidewinders and 30mm cannons, it's definitely going to be a blast. So this is an aircraft I think could possibly be one of the first sort of Tier 6 aircraft we see for Italy. I think it's incredibly likely this will be the first Italian Tier 6 that we get. So definitely an aircraft to look out for there. Anyway though, I'm going to end the video there. Just a few suggestions of aircraft that I am personally looking forward to from these two nations. I do hope you've enjoyed. Again, if you noticed any sort of issues or any mistakes, do please let me know and I'll do my best to resolve that. Anyway though, thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, please consider smashing the like button, maybe even subscribe to the channel. If you do, that would be massively appreciated. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.